is just like a quick overview of why Handshake is special. It's specifically made for companies who want to reach out to students, and it's connected to your St. Mary's account. And the reason why I found this so helpful is because when a company is specifically looking to recruit students from your school, there's a greater chance that they're going to contact you back, and there's a greater chance that recruiters are going to be coming to campus. When I did kind of like more cold applications just on other websites, I didn't really hear back nearly as much if I didn't have someone that I was talking to or if I didn't apply through Handshake. That's one of the reasons why it's so great. I'm going to sign in right now. You two have already signed in before, so you kind of know what's going on with that. You just type in St. Mary's.
Handshake St. Mary's.
This is what Handshake looks like. Some of you are kind of familiar. You can search jobs, internships, whatever you're interested in. So I'll just look up finance up here. And you can do different filters depending on what you're looking for. If I'm sure most of us here are looking for internships, not full-time jobs. You just click on the internship tab. You can also say that you want to be near San Francisco, California, etc. And there's lots of different options through here. And you can favorite jobs as well. So say that I'm interested in this, but I don't want to apply to it right now. You can look back up at your favorited jobs later on. Something else that I want to talk about briefly, and something that we can do today while we're doing this workshop, is JobScan. Has anyone heard of JobScan before? It's a miracle. I love it. JobScan is this website where you can copy and paste your resume into it and copy and paste the job description, and it'll ensure that you have the correct skills to match the job description and you're using the right language. For example, I was applying to a job and it said something about quantitative skills, and I said a lot about how I was comfortable working with numbers and that I was working with Excel and that I was working with data, but I never used the word quantitative. So let me just show you an example of how we can use this. If I just pull up my resume, I have like 100 copies of it. You should have 100 copies of it. Depending on what job you're doing, will change which resume you're doing. I can copy and paste my resume into JobScan here. I'll go back to that posting I was interested in, field marketing. Select that, put it into JobScan, and just click scan. And now what it's going to do for me, it's going to scan my resume, scan the job description, and tell me how close my match is. I have less than a 20% match on this, which is no surprise because this is a marketing job, and the resume that I was using was for a job in data analysis or risk advisory. But it'll tell you exactly what findings they have, what's missing, what keywords are missing, what words you should be using. For example, I never used the word product, customers, brand, sales. I did use sales once. I never used the word social media, all of these things that I'm missing. So now I can go back, make those adjustments to my job description until it's correct. To my resume rather, until it matches the job description more closely. And I found that this was really helpful, and from what I've heard from other people, a lot of the times they do use these algorithms to kind of scan whether or not your resume even makes it to a set of eyes, to a person, and this is one of the ways that they do it. So if your resume doesn't match the job description, you'll never even get past their machines that decide sorting through resumes who gets to see who. So that's absolutely something that you all should be using. JobScan allows you to do, I believe, 6 scans for free, so use them wisely. After that, you do have to pay for this service, so I would be careful with how you're using it. Yeah, Albert?
How much does it cost?
If you do end up buying it, I don't know.
No.
Just be smart with it. It's really expensive. It's something like $100.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's kind of like a membership, I believe. Let's see. I think they make it easier to find the premium section. If you end up having to buy it, you end up having to buy it, but I recommend you just use your scans a little more wisely, or just use multiple emails like me. Okay, so.
The other thing you can do is you can really do this on your own. You can look at the job description. I highly suggest printing it out and really looking through what the keywords are, kind of highlighting it and going back to your resume and seeing how you match up. I think it's a common problem that people do not want to do that because they they just look at the job and say, oh, I'm perfect for this job, but then when they really break it down, you really need to look at what are the key skills that this job is looking for. So for example, if I'm looking at your field marketing intern, hold on, I'm gonna pull it up. Which one is that at? Where is that at, Ally?
Oh, it's on Handshake.
Yeah, which one? There's a couple field markets.
ABZZ Snacks LLC.
Oh, okay. So if I'm looking at this, I mean, you have to look through this, and it's talking about product information, really trying to match up kind of what you've done in the past and match up to what they're looking for. And I think people are not so likely to do that when they apply for jobs.
I agree, and that's why JobScan was so helpful for me, because it literally gave me a number and a metric to say you are only 60% similar when you think you're 100% similar. And I realized I did have the skills that I needed for the job, I just wasn't expressing that in my resume correctly. So that's why I found it so helpful. So absolutely using that resource, as well as really understanding the job description and making sure you have those keywords in your resume, is really important. So now we're gonna start with this process. So go ahead, everyone get on Handshake, start favoriting jobs, looking at jobs. We have Mary Beth and Professor Souza here today to help us with this process, as well as consulting any of the Finance Club executive members to look at whether it be your resume, a cover letter for a job. Many jobs do require that you not only apply on Handshake, but also through their website, so make sure that you go through that process as well. And we'll just get started with that now.
I also wanted to talk a little bit more about looking outside of Handshake, looking outside of LinkedIn, looking outside of Indeed. Because I think if you look at the competition for a lot of the jobs that people are really looking for, I mean, I think you need to look outside of that and you need to do research on companies. So I kind of started thinking about that this morning, and I also think it's important to look a little more outside the box or outside of the same websites. I think you also need to look at sites like Crunchbase. You need to look at sites that show you I also brought, which I think, I mean, I know it's kind of old school, but I think these are really great, these book of lists. So I think that these can start to give you guys, this is from the SF Business Times. If you start to look through here and you start to look at, okay, what are you kind of interested in, or what are, so for example, here's a list of the Greater Bay Area cybersecurity companies, autonomous vehicles. You start to look at these different companies, and then you can go to their, here are Bay Area fintech companies. If you start to look at these lists of companies and then going to their websites, so it's from the SF Business Times, but, and I know it's kind of old school because it's a book. I think you can get it online too, but I think you have to be a member. But you could always come by my office and we could go copy them if you want them. Because I think what ends up happening is if you go to a site, like Handshake's great, LinkedIn's great, Indeed is great, but everybody's doing that, right? So you're competing with 1,000 different people. Whereas if you're looking at, you know, perhaps this is the 100 top tech companies, tech employers in San Francisco, and you're looking down here in like 75, 80. You know, these are some interesting companies that could have jobs, but people are overlooking them. So I think that could be interesting. You can also, I think it helps you prompt to industries that could be kind of interesting to you. And I'd be happy to let people borrow these and come back. You know, here are design firms, construction companies, architectural firms. You know, even just how they break them down into industries, I think is interesting. Construction, tech companies. So if you're interested in real estate, fintech, biotech, banks. So here's a whole list of banks. You know, everybody thinks about B of A and Wells, but if you look down, there's a whole group down here that people are.
Hi, welcome. Come take a seat.
Yeah, just a thought if you want to peek through this one. This is 2018, I think 2017. If things haven't changed that much, you guys wanna look at this too? I don't know if you guys wanna.
Well,
Peek through.
today we just wanted to.
But Jack already has an internship, so he doesn't have to be
Yeah,
looking
is
for
this,
internships.
yeah, is it all just like info on how to find one and stuff?
Yeah, and on handshake also.
Yeah, I'm kind of.
You're good.
Yeah.
You trust out.
I bounce it, yeah.
Are you,
No, I'm a junior.
are you going to the what's that called?
Are you going to dine with the lumps tonight?
No.
You should, even though you have, like, it's a good event to.
It's just, it's a good connection, if you have time to go by.
Yeah.
Is that 6?
It's at 6 in the soda center. We should have gotten an email.
Yeah.
Whenever I look at this, I'm really sad on that.
Let me check it out.
Okay. I don't know that I'm helping much there.
You're doing great,
Amazing.
I just think I need, validation.
yeah. Yeah, and you get it from me, all the
I
time.
like it. I really like it. I said something about you, all girls and I were, I was telling him I wanted to leave his class by one, and I said something about how, you know, I can't stand Larry, he's one of my favorites, and he was so funny, he goes, yeah, YouTube, I keep telling people, just give them whatever they want, whatever they want.
I want $1 million to fund the AP
in a
process
sense,
for the
I'm
students that want to double major.
getting my meeting set up. Are you going to the,
The dinner?
Yeah.
are you going by yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Advice is something.
Just like
Yeah.
Cause that's like, I'm kind of curious to
Oh, really?
Yeah,
And
it needs to be
My dad
sanctioned.
it's
Percent.
frustrating to me.
My dad just
So you know what I find
Yeah.
frustrating?
You're also in.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay,
when you
yeah.
do worksheets that have
It
been
says it
copied
started at
with
6 or
Yeah,
5:30.
with pencil.
It's
Yeah.
at 6.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, cause I thought
There
I
needs to be
I
a
should.
spreadsheet.
No,
Do you wanna just meet downstairs?
Kurt's already built the
Yeah,
program.
text me
I
around.
know, but nobody
Yeah,
uses
yeah,
it.
perfect, it'd be like,
I
hey,
know.
like, let's meet up, and then just like walk.
Yeah.
Maybe
Okay,
this
perfect.
is the most.
I'm excited, yes.
Yeah.
It's a good
What
offer.
are you bringing,
I even gave her
resume?
one that you guys have.
You don't.
I just,
No,
I
no, no,
don't
no.
get out of class till 5:30, and I just kind of,
Yeah.
I don't wanna show up like that.
And yeah, kids are working.
I don't.
Step alumni.
Not, well,
I would bring back.
I'll bring it, but I'll probably not.
Susan, can I ask you a question about
Yeah.
the memo?
Mary Beth,
I'm having
do
a
you
hard
recommend
time with the
bringing
gold
your
one.
resume
Okay,
to
you gotta
this
print 'em
event
out and
tonight?
give 'em to me.
Okay.
You know,
Well,
you could bring a folder with
the
it,
gold
but
one I'm
probably
still
not.
working on,
I
but
mean,
I
I
just
Give
like
me
don't
all-
I always feel like
Okay,
it's
I
one of
just don't
those
know
things,
what I'm looking for,
that-
like when I'm trying to like.
you know,
Give me
don't
all
walk
three,
up to
give me
someone
all
and give
three.
them your
Okay.
resume, but let's say you were having a good
I
conversation
only have
with
two right
someone
now,
and
but
they
I don't have to
wanted,
print them.
I mean, you could always email it to them as well.
Will there be a lot of financial people there?
I don't know exactly who these are.
I think
I-
you read online, it's like
A
one's
business card.
recruiter,
I
one's
only
in
have three,
marketing, there's a
though.
finance
I have three
person.
Oh, I have your, here.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have that
It's all good.
small list, but I don't know
No,
if
no,
that's
no, it's all
all
good.
the people that are coming. Sophia, you should go to the Biorad one. Are you a sophomore or junior?
Sophomore.
You're a sophomore.
She'd be good internship.
She would. I think they'll only hire juniors. A lot of companies only hire junior interns.
I'd be so impressed with her.
Don't
I
worry.
know, but that's not their process. They want a junior, they can give an offer
Yeah,
and
yeah,
come back.
yeah.
Yeah.
I got,
Also, it's like,
after my
depends on,
sophomore
like,
year, I
what
got one, you can
position
totally
you're
do
trying
it.
Yeah.
It's just
I-
hard.
Oh, no, you can definitely get an internship. I just meant the
Oh,
one
okay.
I've talked to them,
Good.
yeah.
you can just
Yeah, I remember
job
sophomore year
search
was
or
rough,
internship
but I-
search
It
on
is,
there
it's
first,
harder, and I
you
think,
see something you really like, and then start
it led
building your
me to the
resume
company
off of
I
their
work
job
for now.
description.
so who do you
Yeah.
work for now?
'Cause if
So
you
I
do a
interned
resume
for
right
about
now,
half my
and
sophomore
you find a
year,
job you
And then
really
you do
like,
and now I'm
Protiviti.
pro to be in
You
a
don't know.
full-time offered me, so I'm going.
Oh, because Jack's doing an internship.
Yeah, are you
now.
doing a self?
At Protiviti,
Yeah.
I just finished the internship like literally 2 weeks ago,
How
because
was
they
it?
extended me, it's the best thing in the whole world.
Yeah.
I would, like, I couldn't see myself working for any other company.
What was the internship for?
It's risk consulting.
Can you help me set the one?
Oh my
So,
like,
it's a lot of traveling kinda, like
Yeah.
within the Bay Area, but I got to go to Salt
Yeah.
Lake City, like back and forth for 3 weeks, so they like fly you back and forth. The
headshot
training,
would help.
Yeah,
Orlando,
like,
Florida,
Yeah.
Okay,
it's
that's
kinda
good.
like the best one I've had.
A
like,
light background,
Every
maybe
day.
something in the.
It's
in
so much
there. That's
fun.
what
And you meet like people, and it's like lifelong friendships. Like I talked to, like I had a roommate, because you get a roommate, and I talk to her every day still. She got full-time offered too. It's so
Really?
good, but yeah.
What?
Nice. Where have you?
Protiviti, it's a risk consulting.
Did
firm.
you do a summer then a winter?
I No, I did a summer, but they extended
So-
me on a project.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I got to work until like 2 weeks ago, so I was on Google doing a financial risk
So
assessment.
it's just like,
it was
Light
tight,
background.
Yeah.
No, it's like
that's
a
pretty
professional
cool.
one.
And like,
And
what
you'll-
happened?
are you in the
Like an
SF
advisory board
office?
dinner?
Yes.
You'll love everyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
the
You'll
long
see
one.
me there.
Okay.
It's like, I start when I graduate in May.
And
Nice.
Yeah, so you'll see me
Sweet.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just.
Alright, that's really good to hear.
yeah. Yeah, if you like have any questions about it, or like, just like literally just let me know. I'll give you my number.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet. Do you have any volunteer experience?
I do. It's all on my resume.
How many
Is there a way to like
interns
upload my resume?
Your summer because like.
10 interns and then
I'm not.
7 or 6 are returning for full time.
Wow, okay.
You could, instead of just uploading
Yes,
your
yes.
resume,
When
you
you
could
put
just
my
spread it out
interviews
to
or
your about.
I have a
Yeah,
list
then
of
you're
people
about-
Handshake and
like
then
that are
that.
returning next summer.
You have
Oh,
your
okay.
volunteers.
Yeah, it's on my work now. I'll text it to
And
you.
you can
It
list
comes
like
so
certain,
natural to you.
and you can list like certain
Yeah,
skills or
'cause,
whatever,
um,
like,
Taylor,
maybe an employer.
It's
I like on the day
so
like I chatted
skills you have.
Like, he's funny.
like
Did
this
you
guy
hire
called
her?
Kevin.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Flood.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's a smart guy.
It was just like, but yeah, it was like
Jason
got into the
gave
office
me a
like
funny like
they sat you down and you
asked
talked.
me
We
Oh, the
what
talked
he
office
meant
is
by
like-
it.
Yeah,
He
the
just
office
was
is
vague
talked
about
to
something
the,
because I sent
um,
his resume to,
the managing director of
Jason.
the place.
or no,
I don't
he
know what his
applied
name
to the
is.
job.
The main one?
Yeah, he's got glasses.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, he did.
Forgot his name.
Yeah,
It's
and then
an
like they
internship,
had
sales
like 2 of their
internship.
people
Oh.
So I asked
talk to
Jason
us,
Go look
about like
for it, and I
projects
told
and
him,
so
"Huh."
on was
Yeah.
like
He
sales
keeps making
force
funny
and
now.
Oh, yeah, the
I'm
sales
really
force is like
sure.
one of our biggest projects right
Yeah.
He said he had
Yeah,
some, I was
and
like,
then
oh, I know him.
And then
And then
there's
he
like,
did that.
they're everywhere.
I had,
Nice.
or I said, it sounds like there's
Yeah,
more
that's
there or
cool.
something.
So they're like
Oh, I have some
the
funny
trainings
stories or something.
like
Yeah.
Orlando's at the start of it, right?
Yeah, it's the start, and literally everything that you do in your internship is like what you're doing full time. So you're getting like
Yeah.
hands-on experience.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It really
So like when you get in there, it'll just be like, because they were talking about what do they call it, like the creativity channel? No, not
Oh,
like
yeah,
for
the intern
interns.
challenge.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's so fun.
and then there's also like the foundations thing, like
Yeah.
you get off the full time.
Yeah, so that's what I'm starting in May. Is I'll be a foundational intern, so you'll get put on a lot of audit projects, honestly.
Yeah.
But like you'll get opportunities and more people you talk to in the office to like get on a project. Like John Medina, he's like the god at SF, but he's on the tech consulting side.
Yeah.
He's the reason I got put on like Google and all these other projects. So
Really?
yeah, you have to just like talk to the right people and they'll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
And
Yeah.
also I'm
Could
sure
I
he
get
did
help
let me know, but I
On how to write a cover letter.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Can I get your like?
Sure.
Oh yeah, yeah, I can actually say it's
Yeah.
Jasmine Dillon.
Yeah. do that.
Because I have a cover letter.
And then there is like, they were telling me
But
there's
I
like
think
just
when I
one.
went and saw you, kind of like you didn't really like it.
Was it long?
No, I can pull it up real
Mary's
quick.
there now, but
Oh
it's
yeah.
always read, like,
Remember the
internship
the 3 things you want to do in a cover letter? How did
Oh,
you
is
find
it?
out about the
Yeah,
job?
Robert Half-
You know, did
It's
you
probably
know
like
someone?
Robert Half's like the father.
Then
Yeah.
Productivity's like.
why you want to work there and why they should hire you.
Okay.
Sorry, it was.
And then
Jazz.
reiterate that you're interested in the job.
JASMINE.
Yeah.
And then DHILL.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Show me.
Yeah, and then just text me, so I'll have your number.
Yeah.
Cool, I'll accept you on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
On the road to 500.
Yeah.
I saw something on here
Sure.
that I want to go to.
Okay.
This private one.
500 connections on LinkedIn. I was like trying to get there this summer, but I was like,
Kind of targeted towards Lansing.
I don't want to Miranda.
I didn't even realize where my mom's from.
So many students in Mary.
my dad is like popular on LinkedIn. And I'm like, what the hell?
This woman, her first name is. I have Christmas with this lady.
Oh my god.
Where do you want to
So
look?
cute. Wait, that's your mom?
No, it's my mom's friend.
Oh, I was like, wait.
So my only,
No,
I sent my
I'm
family
talking
bit
about
about why
messages.
you
I'm like,
want
hi,
the
Dad.
job.
My dad will message me on
And,
LinkedIn and I'm like, you can't just text me. Or like my dad will email
I would
me. in the
flip it a
middle of the
little
day,
like
and I'm
why
like,
you want to
That's
work
cute,
there.
text me.
Yeah, it's perfect. Because I think too many times in resumes and cover letters, everyone gives more of a, I want you to help me learn about this industry. I want. And what the company wants is you to do work for them. So you need to give them that confidence that, you're gonna get stuff done and you wanna do stuff, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what can you do for me, kind of thing.
What, I like what part should I start cutting it off?
I'm keenly interested in this position, so I like that I'm keenly interested in this position, and then,
Say, because I can provide a meaningful and challenging, or because I can provide.
what about, you talk a little, bless you.
Thank you.
Talk a little bit, well, what do you think you can,
Well, I'm part of TED and I'm a computer science minor, so I feel like I could bring to Morgan Stanley, good combination of the financial industry and, the tech industry,
Yeah.
bring it together to help them in
You
the
can do that.
fintech industry.
perfect, I would say that.
Oh, I guess for sure, because I can provide Morgan Stanley.
Um,
Provide.
Because I can combine my knowledge of finance.
You're good. Thank you for showing that. I probably would have said that.
In technology. And then to Morgan Stanley, and then maybe like a comma, a leader in, give them a little why you wanna work for them. Well, because they're such a strong company,
I need to sign this. To help, I'm
You guys need any more?
I can combine my knowledge in mindset technology to help more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
just gotta get this
like,
like,
because I need to get,
sorry, some more about. Be like set apart in the fintech industry to stand out in the fintech industry.
well, what are they asking for in the, cause they don't consider themselves fintech.
Be interested with wealth management team inside Fortune 500 Wall Street firm, strong interpersonal and phone skills and less, sales experience preferred, familiar with Excel, basic knowledge of finance, technology.
So I would talk about all those things. I would talk, yeah.
Geez, that's right.
Cause they wanna hire people full time. Larry, what are you working on?
Sending out letters of
Yeah, I'll
recommendation.
probably, so a lot of people from here are going to that.
Do you wanna
farm
see,
with the
Anna and my
Definitely.
husband's spreadsheet that they're teaching to students about their after-tax
And then,
planning,
like,
financial
Yeah.
planning.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Just having a good old time on it.
Right, yeah,
And because they're alumni, so like way more than half of that.
yeah, that's cool.
So they have all their average, so I gave them all this data from the,
That's really cool.
and then there's standard deduction. So they wanna show like how you get from this 50,
So how did that work?
where you
with
really
lawyers?
end up,
So
Yeah.
I worked from home.
your monthly expenses.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Do you have a car?
Not yet,
You
but
didn't
that's
need
like,
it.
yeah.
monthly,
Yeah, cause like I have to like find some more stuff for like taking.
it's
Mhm.
$1,000 a month.
But
So,
then
like-
when I was in SF, like you're
It's
usually in the
$250
office
a
every
week.
Friday, I
Yeah.
would just take like, cause right when you get off the mountain session, it's like.
Yeah, yeah, that's how I got there.
Your Starbucks is $250 a month.
So like definitely,
He was going through his key things, you pay yourself first, and all these things. I should add have him add ixnay to Starbucks. That's a
Yeah.
killer.
Yeah,
Oh yes, these are all the.
no drinking,
And drink.
not drinking.
Everyone's from Cal Poly, and like literally everyone we met is from Cal Poly.
oh wait, so these guys chose C number, so they,
Oh, okay, so wait, this is stupid. This right here, I think the top are the people who accepted,
yeah.
and these are pending. Oh yeah, so accepted pending, so these people are so they do on campus.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool, though. So there's like, yeah.
Whoa.
This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then
He thinks the rent looks low.
Oh, longer to me, yes, yes.
yeah, so then 1 year. It's cool because last year I was the only state parent, so now you'll be the only state parent.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Yeah. No, but it's a fun one. It's a lot of work, like,
Yeah.
but you'll like it.
Did you do like a lot of overtime, things like that?
So like when I was going to Salt Lake City, I was working like 100 hours a week. Yeah.
Oh.
But that was just for that project. Otherwise, like, it's probably like 46 hours a week. Like, you sometimes you'll work a little more than a week. But what's each process time
I have to be like in my junior year or
So
going
say,
into my junior
so
year.
say like getting to the office is like 15 miles. So
Well, that's
you go
probably
somewhere
for
and it's,
right
like, 30
now.
miles, you get to expense that and you get
I mean, you can send it, you don't, it doesn't hurt to send
it.
them.
So say it takes you 2 hours because of traffic, you guys pay for 2 hours.
That's decent.
Did they ask you guys get, you got to?
Have you heard of UBS?
Mhm.
They upped it?
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, $1,000.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was like,
So when you sign on to that, it's and then it's starting next month. Yeah, I was looking at my contract.
Hello.
Albert, what are you looking at?
Looking at financial analyst interns.
Oh, hi Frank, how are you?
so cool, that's sounds great.
Good. Yeah, I just forgot to call you. Yeah, go for it.
I love when my phones. Alright.
Yeah, yeah.
What is it?
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, take care, Frank.
All right, I think I'm gonna leave you people.
Okey dokey.
You're gonna go.
Go eat
I know someone.
Get more
Which
donuts?
Yeah.
parade of students coming. No, I'm gonna eat my salad.
Oh, wow.
Wait, I'm not done. Actually, I'm finding
Oh, you can eat that? Okay, I'm happy to help. I just.
Yeah.
An intern on the training.
Where?
And Sarah.
adjust the dates.
I have to-
pages on.
But you're doing financial
Yeah.
statement.
Okay, so
No,
honestly, the reason
I was
that
just
was
looking at
open
financial
everything,
analysis.
'cause I was like,
That's what I
it's
realized.
like,
But then
and then like
training
now I'm
intern
like,
also.
Well, you need a
so
name.
right now I just kind of like threw together.
Are you trying to give an internship to
just for
someone?
you, just so I can like,
Mhm.
okay, but
Yeah.
honestly, okay, I need a.
I also wanna take a summer class.
Try taking on what do you want to take?
Ah, you should.
What's your, you're just a finance concentration, right?
Finance and analytics
So you, is
concentration.
that what you wanna do? That, I mean, is that the
Yeah.
kind of internship
Are you
you
also
wanna
finance
find? Yes.
concentration?
Okay.
Finance
So then put that
concentration,
there. I mean, most people
Do you play
don't.
basketball?
No.
minor of computer science,
Yeah.
and then thinking about adding
Um,
advanced
yeah.
analytics
I'm
concentration to that.
not gonna transfer
Mm.
those down.
Because I have enough room.
Yeah, I'm not- I'm overloading every semester.
Me too, and I have still have room, that's why I wanted to
I have a lot of room during my senior year.
Oh, that's cool.
Right?
add in computer science.
That's cool.
I'll look,
Yeah.
I'll
How
look
did
to see
you
what other
interest
minor,
in-
maybe like economics or something.
So I would do this last.
Like double major?
Do this last.
Not double maybe.
Okay, yeah, do this last, I feel like I'll change it,
Minor.
I don't know, obviously this is
That
what
could
you
do.
had.
So what do you
Thank
like?
you, because I had a lot of credits.
What do you?
Bye. I had a lot of credits coming into school.
Okay, honestly.
Yeah, I do too, like, I'm gonna be done with credit wise junior year.
Yeah, so.
Do you like marketing? What do you like about marketing?
Okay, good. No, that's great.
But I still need like requirements
And I
and
think
stuff.
it's just the psychology.
So wait, what was it you looked for, financial analyst internship?
No, I just typed in finance.
Oh.
I just searched in finance, so all the internships popped up to finance. And you,
I do it in person.
you're,
So I was like, hell yeah.
Yes.
Now I'm looking. Do you
That's
think
it.
you're creative? Oh, yeah.
That's it.
I'm always constantly thinking about it.
Very strong.
So out of the 10 interns, 9 did.
A strong.
I don't want to do tax
Um,
auditing though.
9 did, and then
And
2.
just look at other things.
customer support
Yeah, a lot.
and sales.
And you go like
with
so.
a
I was so, I love it, like, consulting is what I want